What's going on, Dub Nation? Tyler Smith here from Warriors Today by Chat Sports. And today, the Warriors got some great news. The in-season tournament, now known as the NBA Cup, group play schedule has been revealed, and the Golden State Warriors will match up against the Dallas Mavericks, the Memphis Grizzlies, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Denver Nuggets when the NBA Cup rolls around. I'm very excited for this, and I think the Warriors will be too. And we're going to dive into all the opponents, breaking down who Golden State will be matching up against. But before we do, if you're ready for the NBA season to come back, if you want Golden State Warriors basketball to be back right now, I'm dying for basketball. We're in the dog days of summer. If you want the Golden State Warriors to return right now, like today's video, smash the thumbs up icon. Could we get 400 likes? That would tell me that Dub Nation is dying for Golden State Warriors basketball back. If you agree with me, like today's video, and we'll get started. So a quick rundown, a quick explainer of how the NBA Cup works, formerly known as the in-season tournament, now rebranded as the NBA Cup. Group play, teams are situated based on last year's regular season into 6 different groups, and three in the East, 3 in the West. Obviously, Golden State's going to be in the West. And group play begins on November 12th, a little bit later than last year, lasting all the way until December 3rd. All those games count towards the regular season record, as well as the knockout stage in the quarterfinals, as well as the semifinals. And 8 teams out of the 6 groups advance to the knockout round. So the winners of each group, as well as 2 wild cards, one from the East and one from the West. Now, the losing teams in the group stage will play December 12th and December 13th, while the losing teams from the quarterfinals will play games on December 15th and December 16th. Wedged in between those games was the neutral site semifinals to be played in Las Vegas on December 14th, and the championship will be played on December 17th. That will not count towards either of the 2 participating teams' regular season record. And off the bat, like this, to start the regular season kind of with the in-season tournament here, the NBA Cup, it's a good, fun start. Because if you think about how the NBA season starts, right? Middle of October, and everybody's really in the heat of football mode. It's football season, and most people start paying attention to the NBA really around Christmas, even some people all the way at the trade deadline. So the first 2 months or so, the NBA really have always felt like a big giant preseason until people really start paying attention and teams really start kicking things into high gear when it gets closer to the new year. And the NBA Cup being introduced is something that really just sparks up, builds that competitive juice early on in the season, gets fans a little bit more involved. And I'm just excited for good competitive basketball, meaningful basketball. I know it's not, going to mean anything long term if you win the NBA Cup. It's nothing that you're going to brag to your friends about. But it's good competitive basketball, and it's a fun switch up in the early part of the season to get fans a little more engaged. And Golden State, honestly, has had decent success in the in-season tournament last year. If you look at what they did, they beat the best team in the West regular season record-wise, 141-139. Steph had a game-winning layup in that game at OKC. They ended up losing to the Timberwolves 104-101 in Minnesota, at home. They ended up winning against the San Antonio Spurs by 2 possessions, and then lost by 1 point to the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento. Obviously, the Warriors, that was their play-in opponent, and honestly, if they win that game, who knows? Maybe the Warriors play-in game is at home rather than playing in Sacramento, and we're talking about a different finish to Golden State's season last year. But honestly, if you look at all these games, 1 possession, 2 possessions, 1 possession. Unbelievable. The Warriors clearly get up for these games. They're clearly invested in the competition that the NBA Cup, the in-season tournament, brings out early on in the regular season. And it's a good litmus test for how your season may develop, right? And especially with the teams that Golden State's going to play this time around, it's going to be a very good test because the teams that I see on Golden State's group are bona fide playoff teams in my book. So you're going to be playing those teams very early on in competitive settings that have consequences, and you're going to get a real taste of the competition in the West and what you're going to really have to go up against as for the rest of the regular season goes. And you're going to know if you really need to make a big move at some point during the regular season in order to compete with those teams down the line. Now, you know who else gets up for these in-season tournament battles? Stephen Curry. I mean, my goodness, look at the numbers that he put up. I know he only appeared in 3 out of the 4 group play games for Golden State last year, but 31 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and the efficiency just jumps flying off the page. 51% from the field, and 44% from three. Not to mention, he's clutch as hell. Obviously won the NBA's Clutch Player of the Year award last year. And, like I mentioned in that OKC game, hit a game-winning layup. So Stephen Curry clearly gets up for these games. And honestly, he's going to have to, because we look at this Warriors roster, and it's not super competitive. This summer, though, Steph clearly asserted that he can carry a team when he needs to. Look at what happened in Paris. When it came down to it, whose hands had the ball in them? Stephen Curry. LeBron James and Kevin Durant were out on the wing, wide open, naked, both of them. Steph Curry still had the ball, shot a fadeaway three ball, falling away over two French defenders, nailed it, golden dagger. Team USA wins gold. Stephen Curry, even with the best players in the world on his roster, can carry when he needs to. I mean, he hit 4 threes in the last 2 minutes of real action in that gold medal game. Stephen Curry has shown zero signs of slowing down. And to be honest, I'm excited for Stephen Curry to really have a carry job early on in this season. Hopefully the front office sees that he needs help and they go out and get him some. But if you want more great news, actually, per NBA insider Brett Siegel, and we talked about this in an earlier video this week, Golden State and Steph Curry are expected to discuss a contract extension in the near future. He's actually eligible to sign a 1-year extension right now for $62 million. Next offseason, he'll be eligible to sign a 2-year, $130 million exception. So more great news for the Warriors in the fact that Stephen Curry looks to be hanging around for the long haul and hopefully retiring a Golden State Warrior. But I want to hear from you guys, though. When it comes to Steph Curry, when it comes to games on the line and carrying your team to victory, what's your confidence level in Steph? Let me know down in the comment section by scaling it 1 through 10. I want to hear from Dub Nation how much faith they have in number 30. Next, we're going to break down Golden State's NBA Cup schedule. They got a couple of formidable opponents who have made a couple of formidable offseason moves. Let's break it down and we'll see how Golden State's going to do. But before we get there, got to get you guys dripped out. I was talking about Paris. How about we get the best shirt that came from the Paris 2024 Olympics? Get your Team USA shirts right now. Got the character shirts, the whole roster. Steph right there next to LeBron, front and center. And you can get it by going to this link below, chatsports.com/Team USA to get yours today. I mean, I'm thinking of getting myself one for the show. It's a once-in-a-lifetime shirt. You can get it right here. It's one of the most stacked Olympic rosters that there's ever been. Steph, KD, LeBron, the whole crew. You can get it right here. Chatsports.com/Team USA. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video to make it easy for you guys. Go get yourself some Team USA Olympic merch right now. So, the first game of the NBA Cup. We talked about it a couple days ago, actually, when it was revealed. But November 12th, Golden State will host the Dallas Mavericks. And I'll be honest, guys, this one's going to be emotional. We all know why. Klay Thompson will be returning to the Chase Center for the first time since leaving the Golden State Warriors. He'll be playing in another jersey for the first time in the Chase Center or any Golden State Warriors arena. It's going to be emotional. I'm hoping the Warriors get up for this game. I know I'm expecting Klay to get up for this game. Hopefully, Golden State can respond. If we look at what happened for the Dallas Mavericks, they're coming off a 2024 NBA Finals appearance, and they did not rest on their laurels. They went out and got better this offseason. They added Klay. They added Najee Marshall, a good 3-and-D wing from New Orleans. They added Quentin Grimes, a young up-and-coming 3-and-D player. They kind of got rid of the fat on their roster, in my opinion. Derrick Jones Jr. is on his way out, as well as Josh Green and Tim Hardaway Jr. I just didn't have enough room to list him there. And he really wasn't enough in the rotation for me to even think it was significant. Really addition by subtraction with Tim Hardaway Jr. leaving this roster for them. But in the last season against Golden State, they really had their way. And not only in the beginning of the season where before they made the P.J. Washington and Gafford trade, but after as well. I mean, not a good look for Golden State against the Mavericks. They're going to have to bring their A game in this one in the group stage against Dallas because these players on the Mavs roster, they're formidable. This 5-man lineup is the death lineup for Dallas. I mean, Luka and Kyrie can get their shots from anywhere. Klay, you sit him in the corner, he's going to knock down 45% of his shots. P.J. Washington has taken a huge leap both on the offensive and defensive ends of the floor. And second-year Derek Lively, I mean, one of the best rim protectors in the league, and he was only a rookie last season. I expect big leaps from Derek Lively. This is going to be a very tough matchup for Golden State. Next up, on November 15th, they'll be matching up against the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies are an interesting case study, right? Because just 2 years ago, they were the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. Golden State, obviously, if you think about what happened there, Golden State won the championship that year, and they had to go through the Memphis Grizzlies. A playoff rematch here with the Grizz. Golden State obviously won that series in 6, went on to win the NBA championship back in 22, but Memphis really hasn't made many additions this offseason. Outside of the draft, no major free agent acquisitions, no major trades. They got Zach Edey, so massive size that could be a real problem for the Warriors down low. Cam Spencer, a sharpshooter in the second round, and Luke Kennard re-signs with the Memphis Grizzlies, a sharpshooter that maybe Cam Spencer can mold his game around. That'd be a pretty good advice to the young kid. But last year versus Golden State, Memphis was not good because they were missing Ja Morant for a large part of the season. They went 1-2 against Golden State. So I'm excited to see this matchup because it's going to be kind of a flashback, a little bit of deja vu. But now they add a guy like Marcus Smart, who's a defensive menace. Now they add a guy like Zach Edey, who's going to pose problems for a smaller Golden State Warriors team hanging around that low block. But you got Ja Morant coming back. You got one of the best defenders in the league in Jaren Jackson Jr. You have an elite wing scoring threat in Desmond Bane. This is a good Grizzlies team just 2 years removed from a 2 seed in the Western Conference. I expect a big bounce back, and Golden State's going to have a tough one here. Next up, maybe one of the deepest teams in the league here, the New Orleans Pelicans on November 27th, traveling to the Smoothie King Arena. And last year, they lost 4-0. They were a play-in team. They lost 4-0 to the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference playoffs. Now, they made some big-time additions this offseason as well, bringing in DeJounte Murray from Atlanta to kind of head that point guard position for New Orleans, which is a position they really kind of lacked over the past couple of years, really running CJ McCollum initiating the offense. Now he can run off ball. They added Yves Missi in the draft at a Baylor, a real athletic center, and that helps when you lose a guy like Jonas Valanciunas, Najee Marshall, Larry Nance Jr., who you sent away in the DeJounte Murray deal, and they went 2-1 against Golden State last year. So not a great track record so far for the team, for 2 of the 3 teams that they've played against last season. Hopefully, Golden State rights the ship this time around. And if you look at the key players for New Orleans, I mean, they are one of the deepest teams in the league. Zion, DeJounte Murray. By the way, Zion Williamson, going into year 6. Unbelievable. So is Ja Morant. Brandon Ingram, I don't love him as a player, and I don't think New Orleans does either, but I'd be remiss if I didn't include him here. CJ McCollum, obvious bucket getter, veteran in the league. He's going into like year 13. Trey Murphy III. Unbelievable up-and-coming talent. One of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA. And right below him is maybe the best wing defender in the entire league, Herb Jones. I'm a huge fan of him. His three-pointers coming along as well. Golden State's going to have some real problems with this New Orleans lineup. And last but not least, the 2023 NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets, on December 3rd, heading to the Mile High to match up with Denver and Jokic and Murray, the dynamic duo. They lost 4-3 in that West semifinal. Crazy turn of events for Denver against Minnesota there. Kind of Anthony Edwards' coming out party. But they added Russell Westbrook this offseason. But I don't think that's as big of an addition as losing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is for Denver. They also lost Reggie Jackson as well, so another ball handler. You kind of swap him out for Russell Westbrook. It's a wash there. KCP is huge for them. He was 3-and-D to a T. Now they don't really have, they kind of have a hole at that shooting guard position. Golden State has not beaten Denver, though, in their last 7 attempts. They haven't beaten them in over 2 years since March 2022. This is unbelievable. Golden State has to break the curse right now. And honestly, if you look at Denver now, they only have the core 4. I'm not moved by anybody on the Nuggets roster outside of Jokic, Murray, Gordon, or Michael Porter Jr. So honestly, I think this is the most winnable opportunity that Golden State has to beat Denver since March 2022. So maybe Denver takes a little bit of a step back here, but I don't know, man. This guy right here, I cannot sleep on him. He basically almost beat the Team USA in the Olympics by himself. So never going to sleep on Jokic. He can beat a team on his own. But hey, Golden State's much deeper than this squad. Doesn't have the top-end talent, but they're much deeper than Denver. Maybe they can run him out of the gym. Let me know what you think down in the comments, though. Predict Golden State's record in the 2024 NBA Cup. If I had to make a prediction, I would say 2-2. I would say 2-2. I think you probably lose one to the Pelicans, and you lose one to the Nuggets. I think they beat the Grizzlies and they beat the Mavericks in a big-time get-up game in Klays Return to the Chase Center. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments for Golden State's record in group play in the 2024 NBA Cup. And that'll do it for today's video. The Warriors got some great news because they're facing some great opponents in the NBA Cup this year. Going to be a great test to see if they are one of these Western Conference contenders, if they're going to be a bona fide playoff team as constructed, or will they need a big-time move in the offseason? Whatever it is, we're going to cover it right here at the channel. That's why you subscribe to Warriors Today by Chat Sports, youtube.com/WarriorsTV to stay informed on everything surrounding your Golden State Warriors. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.